Hi, I'm Michael Smith. At Berkeley College, we're committed to educating the public about the importance of higher education and its impact on our communities. That's why we're proud to support the important educational programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by St. Joseph's Health, a passion for healing. It's what's inside us. Berkeley College, the New Jersey Education Association, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, the law firm of Gibbons PC, NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 college savings plan. Turn a dream into a degree. And by Adler Aphasia Center, helping stroke and brain injury survivors recover their speech. Promotional support provided by NJ.com. Small news, big news, true Jersey. And by JerseyBites.com.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, there is always something to learn.
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No. People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. Welcome to the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of New York City in Lincoln Center. Back by very popular demand, we have our great friend Lidia Bastianich, author of a fascinating new book called My American Dream, A Life of Love, Family, and of course, food. Welcome. We are honored. The PBS audience knows you. Everyone knows you, but you've been a part of our PBS family for how many years?
18 years. And it's a pleasure. All those 18 years, and it's a pleasure being here, Steve.
Absolutely. This book, I mean, you were with us last time. We talked so much about your career. By the way, can we talk about, there are 4 restaurants in New York City?
Right.
They include?
Lidia, Del Posto, Becco, Esca, and then there's Lydia's Kansas City and Lydia's Pittsburgh.
The thing about you, I was just saying this before we got on the air, your career as a chef, as a restaurateur, as a television personality, as an icon is what it is. But could you talk a little bit about how and where you grew up? Because I thought, oh, she was born in Italy.
Yes, my story is kind of a borderline story, if you will. I was born in Istria. It's a little peninsula.
Istria.
Istria. And now it's part of Croatia. But that was Italy until World War II. World War II, Italy lost the war. And through the Paris Treaty, that part of Italy, Istria and some Dalmatia, was given to the newly formed communist Yugoslavia. And we got caught. I was just born at that time, and we got caught behind the Iron Curtain in communism.
For 2 years, from 10 to 12, you were in a refugee camp.
Yes. My parents decided, you know, when we were about 10, I was 10, my brother was 13, that they needed to get us to freedom and go back to Italy. And ultimately, my mother, my brother, and I went to visit family that we had in Trieste, and my father escaped at night. They would not leave the whole family go because somebody had to remain as a hostage. He escaped, joined us in Trieste, and there we awaited, the goal for my parents was to come to America. And so they put us in a political refugee camp, and we stayed there for 2 years.
What year did you come to the States?
1958.
You're a little girl at the time. What was your dream?
My dream was, you know, to come to the United States, to be free, to start a new life, to be able to practice, you know, because we weren't allowed to do our religion, speak Italian, many things. So
were you in North Bergen, New Jersey?
Yes.
Along the Hudson River?
Right on the cliffs. And it was magnificent.
God.
The Catholic Charities actually helped us to come here because we had nobody here.
A great organization.
Yes. They set us up. They found this little home. And we were perched on the cliffs looking at Manhattan. And this, you know, at 12 years old, it was just, my brother and I, every night we would sit on those rocks and look at the light shimmering of Manhattan.
And you wind up going from there to Queens. Explain that. Because now you're on the other side of Manhattan.
Exactly. So this little home that we had in New Jersey, we had nobody. The charity set us up. But then a distant cousin found out that we were here. They came to visit us in North Bergen and ultimately invited us to live close to them. And of course, you know, family for us was so important. We wanted to be close to somebody. It was a fourth or fifth cousin, but it didn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's family.
Tell everyone in Italian, cousin is pronounced?
Cugino. Cugino.
Cugino.
Yeah.
Not cugine, that's a different, that's a...
Yeah.
So I think about this, when I think about your career, and by the way, the book is very exciting, and people, I encourage everyone to go out and read it. The idea of being a chef, one of the things you say is that people are like, no, she can't be the chef. How could she's a woman? How could she be? How difficult was that for you to establish yourself?
But you know, Steve, first of all, I was passionate about food. And I didn't know that right on, but food had a very special meaning for me. It still does. When we literally escaped from Istria, I left my grandmother, dear memories and all. I didn't say goodbye because, you know, we weren't told we're not going to go back. And somehow, food, throughout moving on, food was the connecting element.
Was food family?
Food was family. The aromas of food brought my grandmother with me, brought my little house with me. So food was comfort for me. Food was love for me. And I continued to give that message now in preparing food.
So this career, opening the first restaurant, what year was it? Late 70s?
71.
Oh, so early
1971 in Queens, we opened our first restaurant. And for 10 years, we were doing fine. It was a family restaurant, my husband and I. And we sold the 2 restaurants in 10 years and then ultimately opened for Lidia.
Wow.
And opening for Lidia was a task.
So you got all these restaurants. How hands-on are you?
I was very much hands-on behind the ranges. Now, you know, I'm a mentor. I discuss.
Teach.
I teach.
You coach.
I share. I coach. I test with. You know, I'm a mentor, and I love being that with the chefs.
And by the way, excuse me for interrupting, Lidia, your family very much involved in the business. Tell folks.
Yes, I started with my husband, of course, but then my son Joseph and my daughter Tanya. My son was in the business. My daughter, PhD in Renaissance art.
Wow.
They both came back, and that's what propels, that's what continues the energy and the love and going ahead with our industry.
You know, I have no intention of getting political with you. It's not your shtick, to not use an Italian expression. But immigration, you are a product of that part of our country's history. Mm-hmm. The American dream, if you will. Name of the book. Any thoughts on how some folks in our country are viewing immigration today versus then?
Well, I think that's part why the book now, you know, I was encouraged. Lidia, tell your story.
Tell your story.
You are the immigrant. And, you know, politically, I am not equipped or trained to talk about or know enough about.
I don't even mean it politically.
Yeah.
I mean on a more human level.
On a human level, you give somebody that's in need. You give an immigrant an opportunity, and they'll make worlds of it because they're hungry. They're literally sometimes hungry, but they're hungry just to start their life, to feed their family, to have a normal life like, you know, human beings should have. So, you know, I am the example.
You are the American dream. You are living it every day. Outside of business, you have how many grandchildren? 5. 5. What's that like for you?
That's the best. That's the icing on the
cake. Given all your success, that's the best.
In a way, it is.
We're looking at a great picture right there. Yeah. Guys, can we put it up on this monitor later? But go ahead.
The grandchildren are kind of my ultimate reward, if you will. But, you know, with that comes also responsibility. I want them to understand, you know, what their grandparents did to have this freedom. I want them to appreciate. I want them to appreciate food. And will there be enough for everybody? So there's, you know, as much as I love them, I need to teach them as well certain values that, you know, I, as an immigrant, as a woman, as a grandmother, as a chef, have.
sounds like a ridiculous cliche question. Professionally, if you say to yourself, there's one more thing I really want to do. I mean, this book is huge. Is there anything else on your list of professional
Well, Steve,
goals?
you know, in evolving and always gaining more sort of positioning in my industry, always the need to give back. I always remember how good people were to us. I mean, when we first moved into that house in North Bergen, people came with shopping bags. They stuffed our cupboards with food,
Neighbors?
towels. Neighbors, members of the Italian community, they found out an immigrant family has come. And, you know, giving back, how can I return what I was somewhat given, you know, how can, so ever more, you know, doing fundraising for children. I'm involved in
You just work in one of the hospitals over in Jersey. We worked together, St. Joseph's.
St. Joseph did benefits for
I remember
children.
we did a whole thing, and people were stacked. It was a food event around food, and just one of the many things you do.
Yes, well, that's you know, how much, you know, if I can, through food, bring awareness, bring revenues to causes, that's what I want to do ever more.
Lidia Bastianich, you honor us by being with us here on One here at the Tisch WNET studio and being a part of the PBS family. And I want to encourage everyone once again, check out this book. Lidia is the author of My American Dream, A Life of Love, Family, and of course, Food. I love that cover. Lidia, thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Be right back. Arrivederci. Be right back right after this.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
We are thrilled to be joined for the first time, not the last, by Ariana DeBose. She's an actress. She is in Summer, the Donna Summer Musical at the L'Enfantin Theater. It is opening on April 23rd. By the way, that's over on West 46th Street, right?
At the L'Enfantin Theater.
Just so, because on PBS we always tell the truth, we are a little bit before that. We're taping a little bit before that. You're going to be in previews. The Donna Summer story.
Yes.
Now, you were too young, not me, to know of her. What did you find out about her and why she's so special?
Well, fortunately, my mother loved Donna Summer. So my favorite thing when I was growing up is my mom and I would Donna Summer size together.
Well,
her greatest.
What?
We would literally, my mom would work out to Donna Summer and I would work out with her. So that was my introduction to Donna and her music. And then I obviously did my research and my homework and I read up on her when I was auditioning for this piece. And she was a brilliant human. She really was such a generous, giving spirit.
Right.
And what I think is so fascinating is the duality between being, you know, an icon for so many people and also trying to maintain your humanity, right?
You know, as I think about this, the idea that this is being done, first of all, is so special, so smart, so important. And for those of us who, back in the day, as they say, I got to see her. I was telling the crew, like, where'd you see her? In New York. Well, where in New York? It was actually at, I thought about this, it was actually where they play the US Open. They did concerts there. It was the summer of '79.
Perfect.
Don't even go there.
I won't.
And she had, I mean, tens of thousands of people in the palm of her hand. As a performer, when you look at the video of her and then you're playing her, what did you see in her as a performer?
Well, she was honest. She was so honest, but she loved playing a character. She was heightened, you know? She loved theater, which I think is my connection with her.
She loved theater.
She did. She loved theater. She wanted to be an actress, actually.
Is that true?
It's true. It's true. And she wanted to be a film actor in particular. She loved putting on a character, and she actually had her own home studio with, you know, the video camera and the set and the lights. Like, she did the whole thing, which I think it makes her really interesting. It gives her music another layer. You know, when she did Love to Love You, that was based off of Marilyn Monroe.
No. Love to Love, that song.
That song was based off of Marilyn Monroe.
Is that a tough song for you to do?
You have to come see the show and find out.
That's good. You're well trained. You're very good.
Thank you.
Hot Stuff.
Yes.
Love doing that.
Love it. Love it. It's one of the sexiest moments in the show, I think. You know, we give you a little dose of Studio 54 with Hot Stuff.
Wow.
We remind you what it was like to be in the club, you know?
She works hard for the money. You just, right? So
relevant right now, you know, with the women's movement. I think, you know, when she wrote that about a restroom attendant named Onetta. And there are millions of Onettas, you know what I mean? So any woman who who is working multiple jobs to take care of her children, or just any woman who's working more hours that takes her away from her family.
That's right.
You know, you relate to that.
She's ahead of her time. By the way, I want to remind folks that this very special play about Donna Summer that you are starring in opens April 23rd over the L'Enfontaine Theater. Check that out. Your career. When did you know that you wanted to be on stage?
I think I was 3, and I just liked the sound of applause. I wish it was deeper than that, but...
No, that's deep. That is deep. Did you get applause? I mean, did you have an opportunity as a really young kid to be on stage?
I started dancing when I was 3, ballet tap jazz.
Where?
I grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay.
Yes. And I believe my first costume was a daisy. I was dressed as a daisy. It was really attractive. But I knew then that I liked making people laugh, and I liked that relationship to the audience. And then I started training seriously as a dancer at 12. I knew at 12 that I wanted to dance.
Right.
And then as I continued with my training, I discovered that you could not only make people laugh, you could make them cry. You could make them really feel something, and start to ask questions about, you know, who they are and what's going on in their life. And I discovered theater, that you could talk and sing and dance at the same time, when I was 16.
Was it part of the game plan? Loaded question, I know. There are 2 other things you've done that just blow me away. One is Hamilton, the obvious. Need I say more? And the other one is A Bronx Tale. Hamilton, describe it.
Oof, it was a whirlwind. No one saw that coming. You know, we took the world by storm and we changed it.
Did not see it coming.
Yeah. I mean, well, and one of my favorite things, my mentor, the fantastic, inimitable Terrence Mann, we were having a conversation over dinner one night, and I was telling him about this new project I was working on. I was like, you know, it's called the Hamilton Mixtape right now.
The Hamilton Mixtape.
The Hamilton Mixtape. And it's, you know, developmental. It's like a hip-hop opera. Tommy Kail would kill me if he knew that I said hip-hop opera. But, you know, it's like a Les Mis, but it's current, you know. And he said, Founding Fathers and rap. That's a horrible idea.
Horrible.
Horrible. He literally said horrible idea. So cut to, we're doing Hamilton at the Public Theater. And I was like, Pops, come see the show. And I got him a ticket, and he wept. He wept. And after the show, he came to me and he said, I've never been so wrong about anything in my life.
Did you know you were part of history while you were doing it?
Yes.
How so?
It's a feeling. When theater is really good, you feel it in your gut. And it boils and it stirs, and there's nothing like it. You know, good theater is good communion, you know? Like, the power of theater is its power to bring people together. And when you feel that energy that pushes people over the edge, because it's collective. When one person cries, everyone cries. And I love that.
What an extraordinary career already.
Thank you.
And the other one I want to bring up, Georgette, we have a clip, right? We have a clip from A Bronx Tale. Chaz Palminteri, Robert De Niro. What's the matter?
Yeah.
Couldn't get any big stars? Let's check out this clip. That song's Webster Avenue in the Bronx.
In the Bronx.
What did that play do for you and working with those icons?
Oh, well, it was the first time I stepped out of the ensemble, right after Hamilton. So it's an embarrassment of riches, really, you know.
You're out front.
Yeah, you know, I was so lucky to create a track like The Bullet with Hamilton, and that became iconic in the original Broadway company. And then to literally directly after the Tonys have that incredible group of individuals, incredible artists, like Alan Menken and Chaz and Bob, like all say yes to me.
You just did Bob.
I did. I called him Bob.
You did that on purpose.
Well, he's a great man. Mr. De Niro.
What did you take from him?
You know, he taught me about text. Keep it simple. Just say the words. That's what he likes to say. Just say the words.
Was that your impression of...
It's not very good. It's really not. What I love about Bob is he's so unassuming. And he just talks to you. He brings you right in just like this. And he's like, say this line for me. Say it one more time. Say it like that. okay. And it works every time.
Yeah.
He says, just keep it simple. Talk to me, you know. And that was the greatest lesson, and it applies to everything. If we all just listen and respond, then you're doing the right thing.
You are a fabulous guest.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're even better on stage. And you mind if I tell them?
By
The L'Enfantin Theater, the Donna Summer Musical.
Indeed.
The theater's at 205 West 46th Street. And Ariana DeBose, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on public television.
Thank
well
you.
Done.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Check you out right after this. That was awesome.
To watch more one-on-one with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
Steve Adubato here at the Liberty Science Center. But I'll tell you, tonight's a great night. It is the gala, the annual gala of the New Jersey Sharing Network, celebrating the 30th anniversary of this great organization. Our friend Joe Roth is here with the president and CEO. Joe, big night tonight because...
Well, it's our 30th anniversary of existence as an organ procurement organization. Saving and enhancing lives for 30 years, it's just tremendous.
How'd you get hooked up in this in the first place? I knew you from a different life in the corporate world, and how do you come into this?
Oh, it's a long story, but you know, organ donation was something in my DNA that my father created when I was a kid, and he saw the first heart transplant in South Africa and said, if I die, you can donate anything you want. This was in the 60s.
He told you this as a kid, when you were a kid?
Yeah, as a kid. So it wasn't a foreign thing to me. It was something, and I had a science background. You know, I was a graduate student in neurosciences, so biomedical research, so it wasn't foreign to me. And the opportunity came up. I knew the sharing network, learned about the sharing network through work I did in the pharmaceutical industry, and the opportunity came to apply for a job, and I've been here almost 20 years now. So
the most rewarding part of not just the celebrating of the 30 years, Joe, but the 30 years of saving lives.
It's just been tremendous. You know, we started as a small organization with 54 people. We're now 180 strong. Over the 30 years, we've facilitated almost 12,000 transplants.
12,000.
12,000. So we've really grown, and we've saved a lot of lives, but it's not enough because people keep getting listed for transplants every day, and it's just, we can't keep up. There are 4,000 people in New Jersey who are waiting, and over 120,000 people nationally who are waiting for a transplant. Our goal is eventually to get to a point where we can at least stop the deaths while people are waiting, and get people transplanted as they need it. We hope that's going to be here in the next 5 to 7 years.
You know, we've been part of a public awareness initiative for several years now. My colleague Joanna Gagas, over on her series Life and Living, everything that we do at the Caucus Educational Corporation has been dedicated to this effort in terms of public awareness of organ and tissue donation. Joe, what is, would you say, the #1 message, other than saying, hey, we want you to give the gift of life, be in a position to do that, what is the #1 message you want to send to people, particularly those who are maybe confused about this process?
You shouldn't be afraid of it. You shouldn't be afraid to list yourself as an organ donor, because less than 1/10 of the people who put their names on a donation list ever become organ donors. But the fact that if a tragic event happens to you and you could save multiple lives, up to 8 people can be saved by a single organ donor, then you can at least pay it forward in terms of how you impact another person's life. So don't be afraid of it. It's not going to hurt you. Don't be superstitious. None of the urban legends are true, and you should do what's right. It's a very generous gift.
Joe talks about the gift, and one of the things they'll be doing inside when we have this great event that I'm proud to host tonight is meeting survivors, family members of those who gave the gift of life to others, and you interact with those folks more than anyone else. What is that like for you?
Well, it's very rewarding to meet these people, to know that through their grief and anguish, they made the right decision to help save other people's lives. They're such wonderful, beautiful, giving people and they become volunteers and very active with our organization. And
some are on your board.
Yes, and so we're so glad that we can support them through their grief, but also what they give to us is a wonderful feeling of fulfillment in our work because of what they've done. So it's tremendous.
You know, it's one of the things, finally, Joe, one of the things that strikes me is that many of these folks, by the way, we'll be interviewing them here tonight on the red carpet, and the carpet is in fact red, is that they'll often talk about the pain of losing a loved one, and I'm not going to call it joy, but the reward and the satisfaction of knowing that they are, in fact, or their loved one has given so much to someone else, right?
And that's what happens. You know, the grief never goes away. I mean, even it's tough when somebody loses a child, but even when they lose a husband or a sister or wife, whatever, the grief never goes away. But by working with the Sharing Network, we believe it helps them come to some closure in their grief and get some fulfillment and some meaning out of their loss. And that's what we try to do.
Thank you, and congratulations, Joe.
You're welcome, Stephen. Thank you so much for what you do for us, so thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by St. Joseph's Health, Berkeley College, the New Jersey Education Association, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, the law firm of Gibbons PC, NJ Best, and by Adler Aphasia Center. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
I'm Taiwan Join, Berkeley College, class of 2011, Assistant General Manager, Vera Wang.
Kate Hickey, class of 2006, Project Manager at Trocarico Architecture and Design.
Sal Frasina, class of 2009, Chief Construction Inspector, Con Edison.
Tracy Mondell, class of 2010, Sales Space Manager, PepsiCo.
From different walks of life, our students succeed in different ways. Yet their first step is exactly the same: Berkeley College.